welcome to the Fearlessly Inspired podcast. We are two military veterans ready to lead, empower, and inspire women in all areas of life. We are proof that your past doesn't have to define you and your circumstances don't have to hold you back. We are your hosts, Courtney and Barbara. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back, listeners. We're so excited to have you back with us today. And if this is your first time, welcome to the show. Today's episode is going to be on how critical it is to call out your alter ego. I don't know about you, Courtney, but when I think about alter ego, one of the first things I think about is all the movies I watched as a kid and all those like patients having multiple personalities, aka alter egos. Growing up, I really didn't associate the alter egos as a positive thing. It was more of a scary or negative thing. Mm-hmm. But today, obviously, we've grown a lot, we've educated ourselves a lot, and we know that we all have them, and we just have to know when it's critical to really call on them. And honestly, our brains are little tricky features of our body, and they kind of really help us determine it helps us to determine what's real and what's not real and how we react to those things. And so, if we allow our brain the ability to get a little creative, sometimes it can frankly push us over our limits. And then it kind of keeps us in that umbrella of fear and anxiety. And I'm sure that, with both of us, we've been in that group of fear and anxiety where, we don't call on that right alter ego when we need it.
Well, to put you at your mind at rest, like I think you are, the multiple personality thing is a little bit different than alter egos. And so I can see why you might have been a little scared. But it's funny that we're talking about alter egos because we started talking about this when we were listening to Trent Sheldon's podcast, and he talked about having that alter ego, and he suggested that you channel yours and give him or her a name, right? And so I really started thinking about mine. And just for the listeners, basically your alter ego is the person who doesn't have any fear. This is just an example, I guess, because you later you kind of changed my thinking about this a little bit. But basically your alter ego is the person that doesn't have any fear and shows up as like this badass, no matter, the badass that she is, no matter what, right? So my question for you, Barbara, is, so if fear wasn't holding you back, who would Barbara's alter ego be?
So the non-PGA version or the non-PG version would have to be probably bossy bitch. But people at work, they call me Bulldog Barbara. So I'd have to say when BB shows her face or roars her face, it's because I'm very passionate and determined to do whatever it is that, I'm trying to tackle. And so, just an example of that is really when I think of my husband being on shift, like right now, he's on shift for 24 hours. I got things to do. I have a checklist of, things I need to accomplish. And in order to make that happen, I have to get really focused and get my mindset into a place where, I'm able to attack those agenda items with blinders on. And, today alone, I've rebuilt my entire website. So I don't even know. And yours.
But no, and I think you mentioned that before, was that, when your husband has these 24-hour shifts, it gives you a time to really focus in, like with laser focus on your business, and that to-do list that isn't really, that personal to-do list that is more like entrepreneur to-do list too. So, so I think that's great. And for me, I think my alter ego's name would be Cece, which is kind of funny because we didn't plan this. And it's funny because my license plate, I don't know if you remember, but my license plate used to say Cece Downs. And so people at the barracks used to call me Cece. So, because people from New Hampshire always have vanity plates, and so I had New Hampshire license plates, and so I had a vanity plate. So anyway, and I thought about the word sea dog, but it just didn't really didn't roll off the tongue. So anyway,
you can't be in the dog family with me,
right? I know, CC, BB, Bulldog, Sea Dog. Okay, let me get it together. So anyway, so Cece would have incredible confidence and she would definitely take more action. I think she's more about, instead of just talking the talk, she'd be walking the walk. And I know we say that in one of my other groups, but she definitely wouldn't allow doubt to cloud her mindset, and she'd just be unstoppable, I guess. Um, and kind of just to divert for a second, it's ironic that we are talking about this because, like, over the past few months, since obviously March, I've been dealing with like so much uncertainty and loss. And I have been like feeling super uncertain about, my future and the value I have to this next chapter. And so, most of you guys know that I recently retired. And as weird as it sounds, like that retirement has been has felt like a huge loss. So, 20 years of my life came to a close, and not the way I expected, because if it was the way I expected, you would have been here. But COVID happened, right? So anyway, my point behind the story is someone important to me, who's witnessed me struggle through these last few months, literally asked me the other day, where did this confident Courtney go? And he must have been wondering where CC or Sea Dog went. But this Courtney who knew what she wanted in life and had all this hope for the future, and wasn't doubting anything. And I told him, I'm like, she's still there, but she's struggling, you know and I'm like, I think we talked about this before, like I'm a person who loves to have a plan A and loves to have a plan B, and I like to have control over my life. And a lot of things outside of our control happened, right? And so let's be honest, life has changed for a little bit. And for me, it was definitely, Sea Dog or CC went away, and this other, Courtney kind of stayed in for the long haul, right? But now that I'm trying to get my life back, I'm trying to channel that CC again. um, and hopefully she's coming out more often.
Come on, Cece.
Come on, CC.
Well, I mean, just think of Cece as confident Courtney. You
Ooh.
kind of said it together, in what you just said. So confident Courtney needs to be confident that whatever's coming is in the plans for you. And so, obviously, I've definitely seen some changes in you over the last couple months as well. And, uncertainty, it plays a huge part in how we react to all the different situations. But with that said, I know that, you and I, we talk a lot. And so, after we talk through some of those things, you seem to get right back on track, and CC's, on her game again, and usually yelling at me to get stuff done. So I know she's still in there. She just, you have to believe that she still exists and bring her out when you need her. Um, so, the fact that my coworkers, they call me Bulldog Barbara, I'm pretty sure it's definitely PG rated what they want to call me.
Yeah.
But we're both veterans, and so working for veterans, I get extremely passionate about it. And being a veteran, it just intensifies my passion. So when I'm trying to accomplish something at work, I don't even think twice. Like I don't channel. Yeah, I don't channel the Bulldog Barbara. It just comes out like naturally. And I think that that's good, because that just means it's something that my alter ego knows, hey, it's time to come out. It needs to be there. So
Right. And bulldog, in my line of work, Bulldog Barbara would be called abrasive, not passionate. And you can have complaints. I'm just saying. But anyway, and I've seen Bulldog Barbara. I've seen her a ton of times, over the 15 years. And I know she can be a little scary, but I also seen Mama Bear, Barbara, who can be pretty serious and scary too. But just for instance, Barbara is not a bulldog all the time. Like, I literally seen her yesterday in the car with Elmo on her head.
yeah,
Right.
you got a picture to prove it.
just riding along Florida with an Elmo on her head. And so that just shows, like, you know what I mean? Like, some of you know us, some of you don't, but we really have so many dimensions to each of us. And even every one of you, you know, you have all these dimensions too. And we're just, you know, maybe we're just talking about two, you know, us and our alter ego, but there's more than just those two people inside of us. Um, and depending on who you are and who your alter ego is, when life or business get out of balance, which version of you do you need to show up as so you can get back on that balance? And is it the alter ego who gets shit done, or is it the alter ego who needs to relax more and have more fun because you're all business all the time? And you know, when we talked about this earlier, you know, I didn't think about it how you thought about it. I was thinking about, like, hey, I'm like chill in my personal life and I get business stuff done. But you literally were like, well, what if, you know, what if Courtney or Barbara is the business one that's always focused on business, and, you know, CC or BB, they're the ones that need to relax. And so I didn't really think about it like that. But it's funny because I was on this call last night and this lady was like, yeah, this girl that was, you know, I do coaching calls with her, and she's like, yeah, my coach really said that I don't know how to have fun. Like, I'm all business all the time. And so now that I think about what you said, I'm like, I guess there are people out there that are all business and no fun.
Right. And one of the things I think is important is, when we're considering your alter ego or, our alter egos, the key is really to break down how are you showing up in different areas of your life, because being aware of this will help determine, what alter ego you need and when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for some of us, it's scary that we're not even aware that sometimes that alter ego that we're using is not serving us and it's not serving anyone else within the situation. And so, I think about this past week at work, we had a presentation on the personalities of bullies. And not that we're talking about bullies, but crazy enough, they shared that a bully has three different can fit three different personalities. And you have an alter ego. One of the bullies is somebody who is bossy and dominant, is a bossy and dominant trait. And then you have the martyr who, they always play the victim in the situation. But then you have that middle person who doesn't really like to say much, but they'll watch other people struggle just because they don't want to chime in. So, I think of that, you know, I think of, the bullying aspect only because I think we've all, probably filled into those different slots. And so when we're thinking of our alter ego, we really need to be intentional about, who we're calling on to ensure that they're bringing some positive energy versus that negative energy in our lives, or AKA bullying.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to fit into that category. And so, I don't necessarily need to be Bulldog Barbara at home all the time with my kids, but my kids know when Bulldog Mama Bear shows up, stuff has hit the fan. And so, but at work, often we're on tight schedules. We have funding that we have to, there's so many different things that like just have to be in order, and one thing has to happen in order for something else to happen. And so, I feel like Bulldog Barbara comes out more,
Right.
not.
Which makes sense. And so, for those of you who haven't really identified your alter ego or alter egos, there are some things in your personal life that so the question for you would be, are there things in your personal life that you wish you would do better in your business life? Because, maybe there are two alter egos showing up. So for example, like, you may be super fun loving person in your personal life, but in business you're very professional and structured, maybe like Barbara. So you may need to bring some of that fun loving person into your business and into your team in order to change the dynamics of how people view you, and that could help your team grow, your organization or your business grow, right? Or are there things in your business life that you wish you could do more in your personal life? Like, maybe you're very goal driven in your business, You have that get stuff done attitude, but as soon as you step away from your business, you have no idea what needs to be done, and there's no structure. So and that's kind of me in some fashions. But so these are just like a couple examples to help you determine how you show up in different roles, in the different roles you play in life. And listeners, I'm sure that you can come up with other examples as well, just based on who you are and who you show up in different areas of your life.
And let's be honest, Courtney, we bounce back and forth, right? There are days when I'm at home, when people come into the house, they're like, "Oh, you're so organized." Like today, you were like, "How do I define Barbara? Is she organized? Is she whatever?" And to other people, yeah, when they come in, they see organized and structure in my house. But to me, I feel overwhelmed, like there's stuff that needs to be done and get done. And so, I feel like I need to channel that bulldog Barbara more in my home life to accomplish things than I actually do.
Mm-hmm.
But to the outside world, they would never know that.
Right.
So, but you know, as you're thinking, for the listeners, really as you're thinking about some of the things that Courtney talked about, whether it's your personal life or your business life, keep asking yourself, do you want more of da da da, less of this? Do you want to start a business? Do you need to invest, more time in a certain area versus another area? Do you need your alter ego to come out just to be more confident and, or appreciate it? And that's a whole nother topic I'm sure that we can, get into about appreciation. But, for me, when we started talking about the alter ego, and you probably asked me a week ago, Courtney, like, "Oh, Barbara, who's your alter ego?" And I'm like, I gave you a line. Like, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is my suggestion for people, is that a potential way to really identify your alter ego is thinking of somebody in real life that might have those characteristics or traits that you need in different areas of your life for, you know, and whatever those different areas are, whether it's your personal, your business, friends, it can be whatever. Write down those 3 traits that you really need to embody in order to meet the goals for that particular, area of your life. So, currently, Courtney and I, we're both entrepreneurs. And in order to be successful, we really need to embody, certain traits on a daily basis. But definitely, clearly, we do them very differently. But there are traits that of Courtney that I try to embody because it's made her successful. And one of the traits that I admire is that you're vulnerable. You're very vulnerable with people. And I know that I need to be more vulnerable because when we're branding ourselves, we have to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to come across like, that it's not perfect in the world. And, if we just show all the roses and butterflies and rainbows, then nobody really believes that. And so, but of course there's fear of judgment that can kind of keep you from doing this in your own business. I know it keeps me from doing it in mine.
Right.
But it is something that I need to work on.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to show they're messy. You know what I mean? And that's okay, because where in the world have you ever been taught to show people you're messy? So what you're saying makes sense. And I think there's definitely areas that I have been vulnerable, because at the end of the day, I know my story isn't about me, and it's about who I can help by sharing it. And so definitely the one trait about Bulldog Barbara that is that she is super organized and she takes action. And like on you always have this list of things to get done, and you get them done. And even on your off days, like today, which is your off day, and I'm over here sitting retired, you have like this list of things that you're doing. You're doing my website, you're doing your website, we're going back and forth. Obviously I'm doing things, just sometimes my focus has to be on other missions that I have to get done today, like for my other businesses. But a lot of times, I am the one that makes excuses and always says, well, I can do it tomorrow. So I think we kind of both help each other definitely keep on track because, like I said, since we've been masterminding the last, I don't even know how many months now. Um, it might have it might have started almost a year.
COVID started. Well, it
But
was at the beginning of the year, yeah.
yeah, we've definitely seen each other grow personally and professionally. So, but talking about, showing up as this fictitious character or defining your alter ego, right? I think it was Rachel Hollis who was saying that sometimes you have to act the way you want to feel, right? So her example was, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, was basically like, after a long day at the office, we all come home and we feel tired and exhausted and we don't want to show up as mom, but she knew that her kids were going to need all of her as soon as she walks through the door, right? So she was saying, so she acts happy and energetic and joyful. And when she walks through the door, because that's a version of herself, she walks through the door as that person because that's the version of her kids, of her that the kids need, right? So we can do that too. We can act confident and strong and determined, even if on the inside we aren't feeling those things. But as you show up as that alter ego and pretend to be those things, I don't want to say pretend, but start acting confident and strong and determined, those things that your alter ego embodies will eventually stop. It won't be an act anymore, and you'll just be used to it. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I definitely think it makes sense, and just, to clarify one thing, it's not that we're promoting, as we're talking about this, we're not promoting to our listeners to be fake, because that's definitely, we're on the opposite,
Right.
strand of that. And so we are encouraging you to practice until it becomes more natural and a part of you. So for example, like Courtney was saying, being confident, the more you practice it, the more you're going to start believing yourself. And that's really key, because Courtney wasn't confident, when she started this journey. I wasn't confident when I started the journey, but we helped each other kind of just
Right.
keep going, and now we're here.
And let's be honest, there are definitely things that I'm not confident at doing still. And sometimes I just gotta like force myself to do them because I know it's gonna help me grow. And that's kind of an example. Like sometimes you have to force yourself to do something, even if it's not acting confident. I guess it would kind of be confident because I'm thinking of like, live videos on Facebook and stuff. I know we've had this conversation before, but definitely, like try to embody the things that you need, those traits and characteristics, and confidence is just one example. But I think this has
Getting out
been
of that comfort zone is key.
I think this has been a great conversation. And so, in closing, we just want to say thank you for listening. And we hope that you found value from this podcast. And if you know someone that may need to hear this message, please, please share it with them. And also, we hope that you will join us on our next podcast. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fearlessly Inspired Podcast.